Look at the 2022 United States House of Representative elections. These will be held concurrently with the U.S. Senate elections, multiple gubernatorial elections in many states, ranging from Michigan to Arizona to Florida. No, what am I saying? There, and as well as the United States Senate elections in multiple states. There, Florida is a good example of one. Florida, California, not Washington, and many other states. But 2022 United States House elections are going to be a red wave. This is what the current House map looks like. Not exactly accurate, but the numbers are. About 222 Democrats to the remainder being Republicans, with a few seats vacant, but I did not include those. And I took the liberty of making it into a percentage sort of diagram, but that's basically what it is. But I believe that Democrats are going to suffer big time. Let's take a look at this generic ballot poll. Democrats are in the majority. President Joe Biden has a high approval rating. Then yet, McLaughlin and Associates, one polling pollster that actually is quite even a little bit lean to the Democrats, and it gives the Republicans a slight advantage. And even though that may not be completely accurate, and if the Republicans are having so close in this time of the year, almost 2 years, 1.5 years before the election, by the time the election season comes around, the Republicans would be much better polling wise. If we'll take a look at the U.S. Senate instead, we can see that Democrats are much higher in Pennsylvania, in Arizona. The exception is in a few really conservative states like Missouri. But even in a lot of them, it is quite close, like former Governor Jay Nixon against former Governor Eric Greedens, among others, and in Wisconsin. Bill Nelson, not Bill Nelson, I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. I was just thinking out loud. Okay, Nelson, I don't know who that is. Let's check. Maybe that's helpful. Nope, wrong. Yeah, and in South Carolina, Lindsey Graham is up 10 points. But in a lot of these locations, Democrats are doing well. But in the generic ballot, they're much behind where they should be at this point, at least 6 to 8 points up. Let's look at the last 3 times there was a Democratic president in his first 2 years. Let's go all the way back to 1976. Jimmy Carter, and they had a huge majority here. When 2 years into his term, they lost 15 seats. Interestingly enough, back here they had a 2/3 majority. And even back there, that was a Democratic time. Democrats did really well. They had 291 to 144. For the longest time, Democrats did really well. And then they had a while back, they had a big majority, a super majority, 2/3. But then after that, in 1978, they lost the 2/3 majority, but they retained a large majority. Now, if we fast forward to 1992, Bill Clinton was elected president. Democrats had a big majority, about 70 to 80, I think. Yeah, 80, about 82. In 1994, Bill Clinton loses the majority to Republicans, a change of 54 seats, putting Republicans at a 26-seat majority. Democratic leader Tom Foley of Washington, he lost re-election as the former speaker, and that's significant. And even if we look beyond, Republicans did really well for a long time until 1998, and from then on, Republicans held it from Dennis Hastert all the way to 2004, and then when Nancy Pelosi was in charge, and then 2006 was when Nancy Pelosi won from California's not 8th, that's the old 8th, which was San Francisco, and then Nancy Pelosi holding the majority. And this is a big, big thing. This is 2008. Democrats hold a big majority. 2006, they hold a very big majority, 233 to 202. And here, this is their final majority, 257 to 178. Let's do the subtraction. They have a 79 seat majority. But this is a special year. This is the last election where Democrats won a seat in Idaho, in the Dakotas. Interestingly, it's also the last time the Republicans won a seat in Delaware, but then come 2010, Republicans win back almost all the seats in the Dakotas, in Idaho, in New Mexico, and lots of Colorado, in Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Deep South. And this is that we can see this pattern repeating itself. And that's why I think Joe Biden, however popular he is, come November 2022, will not do well. But there are other reasons I think so. Redistricting 2020 was a census year, which meant the U.S. Census Bureau counted the number of people in each state and exactly where they lived, which they then tell the state government so they can draw U.S. congressional districts. If you're interested in that and you want to find out more about how both parties are abusing their power, you should check out my video on the gerrymandering series. It's a great video. But Democrats control very few, as you can see. Yellow means they're split or bipartisan control. Ignore Nebraska. It is Republican controlled, but their state legislature is nonpartisan officially. But as you can see, the vast majority of them are bipartisan control or Republican control. Very few are Democratic control. A lot of these Democratic states like Colorado, Washington, California, Virginia, and Michigan, which all tend to be slightly Democratic or all have independent redistricting commissions. And the problem with that is Democrats can't take advantage of it and gerrymander, while Republicans are doing the same thing in Texas, in Florida, in North Carolina, and in Georgia, and in Ohio, and in Iowa, and so many other states. In addition, and actually in connection, for the same reason, there are many Democrats who are retiring. In Arizona, Representative Ann Kirkpatrick is retiring. Her district is Democratic 10. The Cook PVI gives it 10.6. Joe Biden won there by 10.6 points, but she's retiring because Arizona Republicans, the state legislature, and Governor Doug Ducey are likely to gerrymander it in the Republican Party's favor. In Texas, Representative Philemon Vela retiring. Illinois, Representative Terry Bustos retiring. And in Ohio and Florida, Representatives Charlie Crist and Tim Ryan running for higher office because that is their only option. So you can see, both of these representatives are trying for higher office because their districts are very fragile. And it's extremely easy to gerrymander, especially in Ohio, where Representative Tim Ryan very barely held on to a seat. And that's why all of these factors coming together, why I think 2022 is going to be a red wave year, and the Republican Party is going to win big time. They also have a new strategy that Democrats actually used back in 2018, which is to recruit veterans. One article I recently read, I forgot where, put it, veterans are some of the most trusted Americans, and recruiting them gives them an advantage. Democrats use that, whether intelligence or military, like Joe Cunningham to Abigail Spanberg in Virginia. But Republicans are doing the same thing, and it being a red wave year. This could be the map looks like. Obviously, it's not accurate again, but Republicans could have a significant majority in the U.S. House, maybe even close to a 2/3 majority. But I will keep updating you on this. Stay tuned, and if you like my content, please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, and click for notifications so you get the latest updates whenever I create content.